Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Prep Huddle Live here on StriveSports.com. It is a cloudy day. It is playoff day for the 8-man ranks here in the state of Nebraska. 11-man and 6-man will get back at it again on Friday. Sub-district volleyball has gone on this week. We've got some district finals coming up on Thursday, some sub-state rounds coming up on Saturday. Big week, lots of stuff going on, and we got another great show for you. We've got Brandon Kuhl, the head coach at Kearney, is on the Truck Center Company's hotline as we speak, and we'll get to Brandon in just a second. We will also head to Class C2 in Wilber-Clatonia. Their head coach, Lynn Jurgens, will join us. And last night, St. Paul, Grand Island Central Catholic in a sub-district matchup in Grand Island at Senior High. Tony Chapman and Austin Penfield were there, and they got an interview with Coach after the game, so we're excited to have that. And then we'll get Tony on the line. We'll talk about the 8-man and 11-man brackets and 6-man bracket that is still coming up for us this weekend. So now we want to go to the Truck Center Company's hotline and Kearney coach Brandon Kuhl. And, Coach, it's obviously been a fun week last week. When the guys got to see Grand Island in the first round of the playoffs, and knowing what that rivalry means to you guys anyway, how was the week of preparation? Surely there wasn't a lot of extra motivation from you guys as coaches.
No, we have no extra motivation when we play Grand Island, so that's kind of a nice break for the coaching staff. It felt like it's been a long time ago since we played Grand Island in week one, and so to kind of refresh our memory on what they've done offensively, defensively, and special teams, from a film perspective, breaking it down, getting the guys on the practice field, I thought all those things really went really well for us last week. And then obviously we put on a pretty good show on Friday night and felt like we played extremely well and exactly what you need to do if you're going to continue on in the state football playoffs.
Well, from most accounts that I saw, it was a classic game. 17-0 was the final score. What was the biggest difference in that game for you?
Well, I think defensively we played outstanding. We were able to control the field position. I think most of the time we started our offense in the 35, 40-yard range. And then defensively, if we didn't move the ball or didn't score, we were able to punt. And I think Grand Island's offense, I think they started most of the time inside their own 20-yard line. So that was a huge advantage to win the field position. And then defensively, I thought we did a great job, number one, stopping the run. Number two, adding a little bit of pressure of attacking that quarterback. And then number three, I thought our secondary played extremely well and knocked down a few balls. And one of those things where the Grand Island went 3 and out multiple times, and we got a little momentum offensively and able to win the football game.
You mentioned that you had the week one matchup with Grand Island. So over the course of 9 and basically 10 weeks, where do you think your team grew the most over the course of the season? You don't always get to see the same team with week 1 and week 10 like that.
First thing you talk about is depth. You going into the football season, we had a lot of game experience coming back from a year ago, but you still have a few spots, a few holes coming into the season that you have to gather some sort of depth. And I thought our depth really showed as we went into week 7, week 8, week 9 of our regular season, and then obviously into the Grand Island playoff game. And then number two, I thought we'd become a little bit more consistent on offense. We were able to gather some first downs. We were able to run the ball at a consistent basis, especially in the second half. And then rightfully so, defensively, I think we've really improved on stopping the run, getting guys in the correct spot to finish plays. We did a good job of tackling against Grand Island, and we're going to have to do that against Omaha North here this week.
Well, you mentioned Omaha North, the Vikings, the next opponent. They've been number one in Class A basically all season. What's the first thing that jumps out at you watching film of the Vikings?
Dynamic in all three aspects of the football game. I start with their special teams first. They got a couple of return men that can get the ball into great field position. Looks like their coverage teams have great foot speed, and so special teams, they look really solid. You break down their defense. They got some guys up front that can definitely hammer away in the trenches. So it's going to be difficult to run the football. So we're going to try to find some seams in there where we can attack them with our offensive package. And then you analyze their secondary and outside linebackers, and they got a couple kids that can run. They do a good job of keeping things pretty simple for their kids, and they just let those kids pin their ears back and turn them loose on Friday night. And then offensively, I didn't realize they were that dynamic on offense. We know Omaha North's going to run the football. They're going to run ISO up the middle. They're going to run off-tackle power, off-tackle blast, and then run a little pitch game to the perimeter. And those are their three bread and butter plays in the run game. But that quarterback, he does a great job of ball faking those ISOs or ball faking that off-tackle play. and then he can drop back and he can definitely throw it on a rope 15, 20 yards downfield to a receiver that's tremendous speed, and they do a great job of running great routes. And so we'll have our hands full defensively because they have the whole package in the run and the pass game perspective.
As you go through this week of practice, obviously you still have a Wednesday and Thursday practice yet to go. What's the message to your team that you try to instill to get them ready for Friday night?
Well, we're not going to change our mindset. So we're going to compete like crazy, like we've done the first 10 weeks of the football season. We're going to prepare ourselves the best we can, mentally and physically, to come compete. And the last thing is we don't have anything to lose. The pressure is definitely on their sideline. There's a reason why they're number one in the state because of the personnel and the coaching staff that they have. But for us, we don't have anything to lose. Go out there. We got to travel 3 hours to Omaha. Our kids love getting on that bus and traveling to the metro area or to the Lincoln area. And I would assume we get off that bus, we'll compete extremely hard on Friday night.
And, Coach, I want to take away one coaching cliche from you, that turnovers will decide a game. Outside of turnovers, though, what do you see as the biggest key to getting a win in this game Friday night?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you're going to have to do a tremendous job of not giving up the big plays in the run game. We've got to get those guys tackled. We've got to get those guys slowed down before they can hit a big run play. That's going to be a key for us because they love running the football.
And it's Kearney coach Brandon Kuhl. Thanks so much for the time here today, and we look forward to Friday night.
All right, thanks for your coverage.
All right, with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, there we are, we will talk with Wilber-Clatonia coach Lynn Jurgens on Prep Huddle Live. All right.
Trucking industry gives you a lot of opportunity for careers because there's such a wide, vast list of possibilities and areas that you can go into. As technicians, these trucks are as advanced as cars are today, so we need technicians that can work on them and understand how to work the computer system and get them up and running so the customer can make money. These trucks are workhorses, but they're built for comfort and they're easy to drive. Freightliner builds these trucks for drivers' wants and customers' needs.
Home-cooked favorites and online ordering so you can skip the line. That's what you'll find at Dickey's Barbecue in York. Log on to dickeys.com, select the York address, sign in or create a profile, and you'll be ordering delicious barbecue in just seconds. Choose from a variety of meats like brisket, pulled pork, chicken breast, or sausage. Add a home-style side like waffle iron fries, fried onion tanglers, barbecue beans, and even fried okra. You won't go away hungry. Try Dickey's Barbecue today and log on to dickeys.com. Kids eat free on Sundays.
Hey, what's going on?
Just checking the fields. Yours are looking pretty good. Must be doing something right.
Actually, I got a guy.
You got a guy.
Well, it's not just any guy. I got a channel seedsman.
Channel, yeah?
Yeah, I've been working with him pretty close to get, well, you can see for yourself. This is what I'd recommend. Let's get to work. Now, this is what you want to see.
Maybe I should get a guy.
Maybe you should get a channel seedsman.
Find your channel seedsman at channel.com.
Nova Fitness Equipment of Omaha has provided the very best weight room, track and field, and sports surfacing products for over 30 years in Nebraska. They provide Cybex, Matrix Fitness, Vertimax, Tough Stuff, Pro Elite, Stairmaster, York Barbell, Troy Barbell, and UCS track and performance products. From rubber flooring, strength equipment, cardio products, and sports performance accessories, Nova Fitness Equipment has what you need to make your athletic program successful. Contact Nova Fitness Equipment today at their home office in Omaha or online at novafitnessequipment.com.
Yeah, I get it. For the little things. Technology's great. It makes things easier. It's faster. We can get things done wherever we go. And we get all that from our bank. It works for us. But for the bigger things, the things that really count, I still want to talk to the people I know and trust. That's why I'm here.
Prep Huddle Live here on StriveSports.com. A look at downtown Henderson, and now we're back here. And we've got Wilber-Clatonia coach Lynn Jurgens on the Truck Center Company's hotline. And, Coach, a big win because it was a playoff win last week over Stanton. 21-6 was the final. I saw some tweets during the game that it was a defensive purist type game. A lot of defense, not a lot of offense. What was the biggest key for you guys in that game to come out with the all-important W?
Defensively, we played pretty well. We played assignment football, and we kind of shut them down. And then we just kind of held on offensively, and we kind of wore them down to the fourth quarter. And then finally our size advantage kind of took over, and we kind of started getting some things done.
Obviously, that size advantage, you guys are going to have that against plenty of teams for the rest of the way, and you have so far this year. How important are they, not just in that first and second quarter, but maybe for one of the few times all year you got to see what they could really do after they've been leaning on a team for three quarters, what they could do in the fourth quarter last week?
Yeah, when we had, UTN game during the regular season was kind of that way too, and teams are, they're going to play us tough, and everybody's good in the playoffs, so we're hoping to wear them down, and then if we, hopefully we're still in the game in the fourth quarter, we can kind of take care of things, and we were lucky enough to get that done last week.
Offensively, not a lot has changed for you guys over the course of the season. You have four guys that average over 50 yards rushing, but nobody is over 80 yards rushing. So you really have the four guys that kind of get everything done. So balance has been a key since week one, and it's really kind of carried you through this season as far as the guys in the backfield.
Yeah, we don't have any one guy you can key on, but that's a credit to our line and our blocking up front. When we can have four guys that can do that, that makes us pretty dynamic. But it's a credit to them guys up front.
And now when you decide to throw Tanner Sand, he's completing 61% of his passes. So after a team has schemed and done such a good job to try to slow you guys down rushing, there's Tanner completing something to somebody outside on the edge there too.
Yeah, Tanner's pretty accurate. He can throw the ball, but I think he's going to have to do that as we go on because teams are going to stack the run against us, stack the box, and make us throw, and we're fine with that. We think Tanner's a pretty good passer, so we're okay with that.
How important is it that the guys on your team right now have been a part of the process? So much regular season success over the last couple of years. You guys had a great run last year in the playoffs finally. When it comes time to get to that playoff speed and really amp things up, how important is it that so many of the guys on the team understand what it's like to be able to do that on Friday night?
Well, that experience is invaluable. It's what makes us go, and our practices have really picked up since the playoffs started, and our focus is really good right now. So, they know what it takes. If we want to make a run here, they got to stay focused. We got to be ready to go on Friday nights.
Speaking of Friday night, Hartington Cedar Catholic is the next opponent. That's a team that is no stranger to close games. I think of their last four games have all been within one possession, basically. So outside of turnovers, what do you see as being the biggest key for a win, hopefully, for you guys Friday night?
Well, yeah, I think you kind of said it. You said outside of turnovers, but that's the thing is they don't make mistakes. They don't turn the ball over. They don't have any penalties, and that kind of hurt us against Stanton with a few turnovers and penalties. We cannot beat ourselves. If we can play error-free football, we're going to be darn tough to beat too. But that's what they do, and it's going to be a heck of a game.
And one final question that's a little bit more on the personal side. What do you prefer? Do you prefer the sunny and 70 and picture-perfect weather, or do you like it when it's a little cooler and 45 and maybe a little cloudy and a little misty out there?
Well, I think with what we got for size, I think we'd probably take the rain and the wind and stuff. But it's not fun to be sitting and watching a game and that stuff. But I think that might help us be a little bit more successful.
Well, we'll see what the forecast brings us then for Friday night. Coach Lynn Jurgens with Wilber-Clatonia, thanks for joining us here on Prep Huddle Live.
Thanks for having me. That's great.
All right, we want to remind you folks of a few things that are coming up on StriveSports.com. We've got the playoff pages that are built and updated all the time. If you haven't seen a radio link or a Strive Network link or another place to watch a game, or you have seen that link somewhere else, shoot us an email, eric@strive.tv. But the playoff pages have been built and recaps from all the games. Found a lot of highlights in round one. That was fun. We had a chance to put together a couple of our own highlight packages, so that was pretty cool as well. And looking forward to more of that as we go throughout the playoffs. So StriveSports.com/FB playoffs is a great way to find all of the playoff information for the football playoffs. And also there are a couple games coming up yet this week on the Strive Network that are being streamed live, so you can watch these games, including two of them in the 8-man ranks tonight. The first one, Heartland hosting East Butler. It's a 6:30 kickoff here in Henderson. I will be on the play-by-play call, so excited to see two Strive schools actually in the playoffs here. And then another couple of Strive versus Strive matchup, which always makes us kind of excited, is when Palmer heads out to Alma for a 6 o'clock kickoff. Strive.tv/Alma, because it's in Alma. And if you haven't seen it, I don't know, did we get the picture from Coach Frex today? We will later. We'll show that later. The field in Alma, I cannot wait to see what that looks like on the stream, because the picture that Coach Frex put on Twitter earlier today looks incredible. I had to look at it really close to make sure it wasn't turfed. It's a great looking field. Credit to the guys out there in Alma. They take obviously great care of their field, so very much looking forward to that coming up here in just a little bit. When we come back from our commercial break, we are going to jump into the volleyball. Obviously, sub-district and district championship volleyball going on this week, trying to punch their tickets to Lincoln for next week, and Pinnacle Bank Arena for state volleyball. So excited about that. And Austin and Tony were in Grand Island last night. They caught up with St. Paul coach Matt Koehn-Fairbanks. So that is coming up next on Prep Huddle Live on StriveSports.com.
Home-cooked favorites and online ordering so you can skip the line. That's what you'll find at Dickey's Barbecue in York. Log on to Dickies.com, select the York address, sign in, or create a profile, and you'll be ordering delicious barbecue in just seconds. Choose from a variety of meats like brisket, pulled pork, chicken breast, or sausage. Add a home-style side like waffle iron fries, fried onion tanglers, barbecue beans, and even fried okra. You won't go away hungry. Try Dickey's Barbecue today and log on to Dickies.com. Kids eat free on Sundays.
Hey, what's going on?
Just checking the fields. Yours are looking pretty good. Must be doing something right.
Actually, I got a guy.
You got a guy?
Well, it's not just any guy. I got a channel seedsman.
Channel, yeah?
Yeah, I've been working with him pretty close to get, well, you can see for yourself. This is what I'd recommend. Let's get to work. Now, this is what you want to see.
Maybe I should get a guy.
Maybe you should get a channel seedsman.
Find your channel seedsman at channel.com.
Nova Fitness Equipment of Omaha has provided the very best weight room, track and field, and sports surfacing products for over 30 years in Nebraska. They provide Cybex, Matrix Fitness, Vertimax, Tough Stuff, Pro Elite, Stairmaster, York Barbell, Troy Barbell, and UCS track and performance products. From rubber flooring, strength equipment, cardio products, and sports performance accessories, Nova Fitness Equipment has what you need to make your athletic program successful. Contact Nova Fitness Equipment today at their home office in Omaha or online at novafitnessequipment.com.
Yeah, I get it. For the little things. Technology's great. It makes things easier. It's faster. We can get things done wherever we go. And we get all that from our bank. It works for us. But for the bigger things, the things that really count, I still want to talk to the people I know and trust. That's why I'm here.
Trucking industry gives you a lot of opportunity for careers because there's such a wide, vast list of possibilities and areas that you can go into. As technicians, these trucks are as advanced as cars are today, so we need technicians that can work on them and understand how to work the computer system and get them up and running so the customer can make money. These trucks are workhorses, but they're built for comfort and they're easy to drive. Freightliner builds these trucks for drivers' wants and customers' needs.
Welcome back here to Prep Huddle Live on StriveSports.com. We mentioned the field at Alma, and we want to show that for you now. as soon as Austin pulls it up. Yeah, that's what we saw earlier today on Twitter from Coach Isaac Frex out in Alma. That is what Palmer and Alma will be playing on tonight. And seriously, I had to look at that for a few minutes and realize that wasn't turf. That is actually just one of the best-looking grass 8-man fields I have ever seen in my life. It is, and now here we are in November. Now, obviously, we've had some warm weather, so that's helped the grass keep growing. But that has been well maintained for it to still look like that. So kudos to the grounds crew out there in Alma, because that field looks fantastic. So Palmer and Alma, check that out on the Alma Strive channel tonight for the D1 playoffs. Now let's jump back to volleyball. Obviously, sub-district volleyball going on. A lot of sub-district finals were last night. Some district championships coming up on Thursday. And then, remember, in classes B, C1, and C2, the quote-unquote sub-state round. I still see a lot of social media that is calling it sub-state, even though the NSAA says, well, we're calling all of the last round before state is being called district. So it's a district final. In one way, shape, or form, it's a lot of interesting stuff. And one of those teams that's interesting is in Class C1, where last year St. Paul had such a remarkable season in the regular season, got beat in sub-district volleyball, and didn't make it to state by like 3/100ths of a point. Might even been less. Burke is going to text me with the correct answer here in a minute. But this year, with the wild card, it basically goes away. Play your way into state. I kind of like that way of getting to state a little bit better. And last night, St. Paul and Grand Island Central Catholic played at Grand Island Senior High in sub-districts. And after the match, which was a win for St. Paul, Tony Chapman had a chance to catch up with St. Paul coach Matt Koehn-Fairbanks.
All right, Tony Chapman here from StriveSports.com with St. Paul volleyball coach Matt Koehn-Fairbanks. Coach, C19, you knew this was going to be tough. It always is. A 4-set win tonight against Grand Island Central Catholic. How do you feel the girls played tonight?
I thought my girls played phenomenally well tonight. Yeah. This is, I think, the 4th year in a row that we've met Grand Island Central Catholic in the same round, and we've been fortunate to win 3 of them, and we've been able to rise together and rise to the occasion. And I thought our girls really did that tonight. I'm so thrilled with our full team effort, front row, back row, serving, blocking, attacking. We really put together a nice match tonight.
It seemed like the last 2 sets you kind of the tempo got maybe a little bit more in your favor. You win those at 13 and 17. Anything change after they got you in game 2, 25-22?
We really tried in the huddle to just keep it light and keep it strategic. I mean, there were a couple things that got us. I think they did a little differently in that second set, and we had to correct those and correct some positioning issues. And then I think once we cleaned those things up, we got back into what we wanted to do, and it was working tonight. I mean, we finished the plays better tonight than they did. I mean, there were good rallies on both sides, and both teams made good plays, but we finished them with points more, I thought, tonight than they did.
At this time of year, how fun are these kind of matches to be in? Just a great atmosphere in this gym, and both teams played really well. It was like, I said, it was a Lincoln match, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. The St. Paul fans that were rocking tonight, they definitely were there in force, and the girls were rocking on the court, and I think that just helps you play your best, and it was just a special night for us. And you just know in Central Nebraska this time of year, there's no easy games. There's just no one that you can overlook, and we knew, you pencil this game in on the season, you just assume that it's gonna, if we do well, it's gonna be us and them in this round, and you kind of wait all year for it, and when it goes your way, it just feels great.
Coach, they got you at Holdridge. Grand Island Central Catholic did. That was your first loss of the year. What did that match? What did you guys learn from that match? And then I guess what did you take into tonight to kind of turn the table on?
Yeah, no. We learned some of their tendencies, I think, mostly there, but the whole season's a season in progress. We learned something from wins, we learned something from losses, and we learned something, I think, specifically about their team in that match, but we've never beat them in the regular season. This is my 10th year at St. Paul coaching, and I'm not joking, we've never beat them, but we beat them at districts 4 times. So sometimes we're not quite ready in September, and we're still putting things together, and I thought we did a great job of making adjustments to what we had seen, and they're a great team. I mean, we play this again tomorrow, and who knows the outcome, but we outplayed them tonight, I thought.
Your 4 seniors, Leslie Fox, Taya Jarabic, Clara Thede, and who am I missing? Jaden Jacobowski.
And Joelle Durner also.
Joelle Durner, yeah. Those 5, Joelle played well for you last night. those five, what have they meant to your program, and how special is this to get this one for them?
They're talented players. They pretty much, you line them up on the wall, they're all 5'8". We have 5'8" seniors, and they're about as tall as we get on our team other than Haley. But so we're going to miss their whopping height next year, I think.
Right.
But their leadership. I mean, they came in as freshmen and they had a no drama policy. That there's just no conflict on our team, and if there is, we work it out and we get over it. And they've really instilled that culture of we're going to work hard every day. The coaches know what they're talking about. We're going to listen to them, and we're going to get along. Whether we're best friends or not best friends, we're going to get along for volleyball, and they are the epitome of that motto.
And now it's win or go home time. We have the new sub-state format. Talk about what you're looking forward to Saturday and in that sub-state round, and maybe hoping to get to Lincoln, obviously the end goal.
Right. We have no idea of what Saturday is going to look like because this is the first year for it, of course. We were just talking about that today. Should we advance the sub-state with the athletic director? Do we play at noon? Do we play at 5? Do we play at 7? No one knows. When's the Husker game? You know, that's what people are asking.
Right.
So we really don't know what to expect. I think, you know, we're ready this year. We're just a step ahead. We're happy. We would be, I think, most happy playing somebody new, for good or for bad. It's just nice to play somebody else. I think that's the point of sub-state, is hopefully you get somebody that's maybe not from your little pocket of teams that you play every other day. But, you know, we have no idea. The wild card points are so close in Class C1. I think most of the seeds were advancing. If I looked or listened to you announcing today just out of the corner, it seemed like most of the high seeds were advancing, and it'll come down sometimes to who else on your schedule wins and loses. You know, we need some help here, some help there from other teams, and you just don't know. But we're going to definitely enjoy this tonight, and we'll be ready to do our best against whoever our opponent is.
St. Paul wins the Class C1 Sub-District 9 championship over Grand Island Central Catholic 3-1. They'll play in this Class C1 Sub-State on Saturday.
And again, thanks to Tony and to Coach Koehn-Fairbanks. 400 wins for Coach already in his career. He doesn't look like he's been coaching that long, but when you've had the success they've had, well, 400 comes a little quicker. We have got Tony now on the Truck Center Company's hotline. And Tony, first of all, real quick, let you kind of maybe finish a thought you might have had. St. Paul over Grand Island Central Catholic last night there in GI.
Well, just an excellent match, and two teams that are probably deserving of playing in Lincoln. But boy, a tough draw. You wake up this morning and you see that Grand Island Central Catholic is the 10 seed in Sub-State, and they'll play 7th seeded and unbeaten Malcolm on Saturday. So that somebody's going to stay home off that deal. But last night, you know, really as Matt talked about, they really, in sets 3 and 4, they really kind of turned up the pressure. I think their defense got a little better. They were able to dig a lot more balls, and that kind of turned the tide. And you know, when you play rally scoring, they got up in both of those sets 8-4, 9-3. You get up 4, 5, 6 points, it's really hard to come back when you're playing defense, and they were able to do that tonight. And that core senior group they got is special and fantastic to watch. So a big weekend in Howard County this weekend, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it'll be fun to watch, I think. We want to go football now. We want to kind of go through our brackets. We'll start with the 8-man games that are coming up tonight. We'll start on the east side in Class D1. Guardian Angels Central Catholic, Humphrey Lindsay Holy Family. The game is in Lindsay tonight. Guardian Angels is the 1 seed on the east bracket, and they will play the winner of Heartland and East Butler, which we'll have on the Strive Network tonight. Tony, the top half of the D1 East bracket, some good teams, 4 still good, very good teams left in this schedule.
Yeah, and I wish I would have looked. It's been kind of a crazy morning for me, but I don't know if Guardian Angels and Humphrey Lindsay Holy Family have played yet this year, but they're close enough that maybe they have, but it's possible that they didn't either. But I know they've got some common opponents obviously there, and Guardian Angels has, I think, beat everybody except 2 teams by like 20 points so far this year. So this one probably I lean Guardian Angels' way, and then I'm excited to see this Heartland East Butler game tonight. I'll be over there with you, kind of walking the sidelines, and I've not yet seen Austin Stewart play this year, so I'm excited to see how that one goes. And this is the tables have kind of turned from last year. This was a game last year where East Butler was kind of the prohibitive favorite, and Heartland went up there and had about 6 inches to tie the game late. It was a 50-43 game. I think it'll probably be very similar. I expect there to be a lot of points. East Butler's played a very difficult schedule and now they're kind of survived it at 5-4, and you never know. But I think Heartland and GICC would be a pretty fun quarterfinal match next week.
And then the bottom half of that East bracket is Lord Central Catholic hosting Howells Dodge tonight, and then also Creighton, who has steamrolled a lot of people, including Diller Odell, in that first round. They take on Tri-County. Now, Tri-County, playing their first year of 8-man, they put up 66 on Hartington Newcastle in the first round. How do you see the bottom half of D1 East shaking out?
Well, I really think Creighton is a big favorite in that pod there, in that group of 4. I just think offensively they're going to be too much for teams to handle. I believe they're averaging over 65 points a game for the season. I expect them to score in the 50s or 60s today against Tri-County. That's an early kickoff, I think 3 or 4 o'clock up there in Creighton. And I think they're going to win that one. I'll be curious to see how this Howells Dodge Nebraska City Lords game goes. You got Mike Spears. You'll never count him out in the playoffs. This is their best year in a few years at 7-2 for Howells Dodge. And then you've got a Nebraska City Lords team. They beat Creighton or Clarkson Lee last week, I think 52-8. And this is a group that we watched win the Class D1 in basketball last year, Eric, and a lot of those athletes are playing on this football team. So they've got that kind of big game experience that always helps you in the playoffs. So I think that one might be a close one. I expect that to be a good game down in Nebraska City this afternoon.
D1 West, Palmer is at Alma. Palmer's still undefeated. They're the 1 seed. And also Chambers Wheeler Central is traveling to Atkinson to take on West Holt. We already showed the picture of Alma's field. It is the best-looking 8-man field I think I have ever seen in my life. Should be a lot of fun. How do you see the top half of D1 West?
Well, their Central will see your Alma prediction and raise it. I think we had both of those on this year, so those were good ones. I think Palmer and Alma, I think team speed for Palmer wins this one for him. This is a completely different team for Alma that Palmer played last week at Amherst. Amherst was wide out, was all over the place, spread you all the way across the field. And Coach Frex, who we've got to know really well, is kind of a double tight eye guy, and they're going to try and run power and counter at you. So it'll be interesting to see. I like Palmer's speed here. I like their ability to tackle, and I think they win this game. I think it's a 50-30 kind of football game down in Alma tonight. And then Chambers Wheeler Central Elgin. Of course, Chambers Wheeler Central won D2 last year, so big game experience for those guys, and they beat West Holt once already, but this is a rematch of a game that I think was CWC's one of their closest games all year. I think it was like a 30-18 game the first time. So it'll be interesting to see if West Holt can turn the tables. Of course, they get a 2-point win out at Dundee County Stratton. Last week I tried to watch most of that game. That was a good one. Impressed with West Holt moving down from C2 with what they were able to do against DCS.
Then D1 West, the bottom half of the bracket, number 3 Elm Creek hosting number 6 seed Medicine Valley. Elm Creek 9-0 and Medicine Valley is 8-1. And then you've got Burwell, who was in the championship game last year in D1 as a 10 seed, hosting number 2 seed Perkins County. And Coach Carly Wells obviously has a really solid team. We got to see them at the end of September when they played DCS. But how do you see the bottom half of D1 West?
Well, I think what happens, Eric, this is a scary draw for Perkins County here. Burwell is confident. They've got a lot of guys who were on that team last year. Coach Gideon and Coach Wells know each other very well, with Coach Wells being up at Elgin Public Pope John for all those years. So they're going to be familiar with kind of the game plan that they're going to put at Burwell. But I just like Derek Siss and Charles Johnson, the quarterback. I think Perkins County can get this one. I actually think if there were an upset, if Burwell were to win this, I'd probably pick them to beat either of the other 2 teams. So I think this game might get somebody into the semifinals up in Burwell. I think that'll be a football game that could be a 1-2 possession game when it's all said and done tonight.
Let's go to Class D2 now, where we've got on the East bracket, Osceola the 1 seed and Fall City Sacred Heart is the 8 seed, and they are both 8-1. And then the bottom half of the top half, if you will, the 4 seed Lawrence Nelson is 8-1, and the 5 seed Bloomfield is 8-1. Even down to the bottom half, St. Francis is 8-1. Why Not is 8-1. BDS is sitting there undefeated at the number 2 seed, and then Randolph at 6-3. But basically, 8-1 will get you to the second round of the playoffs. So top half, Osceola, Fall City Sacred Heart, and then Bloomfield, Lawrence Nelson. How do you see that one tonight?
Boy, that's a 4 o'clock game up in Osceola, and I'm jealous of people who are going to be there because I think that's going to be probably the best game of the day. It's a very difficult draw for Osceola. You'd think as the 1 seed, they'd get a little bit better deal than that. But Fall City Sacred Heart is big, powerful backs. But Coach Nielsen, they've done one better kind of each year he's been there. And last year they lost in this round to Humphrey St. Francis. Those were their only 2 losses last year. I think Osceola can get this one. I wouldn't be surprised either way it went. I think it's a close game all the way. I think conversions will be very important in this game. And so I take Osceola, but I think it's going to be a close one. Then I think Lawrence Nelson and Bloomfield. I think Lawrence Nelson's probably got good enough defense to slow down Bloomfield's good back. Quentin Moles, we talked about him last week on the show. So I'd take Lawrence Nelson in that game. And then let's see, where else are we going? Humphrey, St. Francis, and Wynot is a rematch of an earlier game this year that went St. Francis' way, and I'd probably pick them to go again. That was a semifinal last year in D2, and it's around a 16 game this year. And then BDS, this is a sneaky one here. Randolph 6-3. They avenged the loss to Osmond in the first round, and they've got Drew Loberg back, who's a talented running back and a heck of a wrestler. And so he might bring a little bit more to the table, but I still think BDS is probably too much. I still like the Eagles all the way to Lincoln on that half of a very, very difficult East bracket in Class D2. I think probably the top 5 or 6 teams in the class could be in that side of the bracket, Eric.
So then let's look at the western half of the bracket. Twin Loop is the 1 seed, hosting, or actually at Garden County, who is the 9 seed. And then you've also got Blue Hill and St. Mary's, the 4 versus 5. At Blue Hill, both teams are 8-1 in that half of the bracket. What do you see at the top half of D2 West?
I still think Twin Loop and Blue Hill are the teams there, and I think that'll be a really good quarterfinal matchup next week. I think St. Mary's can cause Blue Hill some issues, but I think overall, I think Blue Hill with the bigger line maybe wears down St. Mary's a little bit. But I suppose we'll look forward in the other brackets. But what a neat thing for the town of O'Neill with both of their teams still alive and playing really good football. I think a combined 17-1 between their 2 football teams so far this year.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't they do something similar to this in basketball last year too, right?
I believe so. Yeah,
they were both, were both in Lincoln, I think, at the same time. So there wasn't anybody left in O'Neill for those first-round basketball games. Bottom half of the D2 West bracket, we've got Loomis playing at Ansley Litchfield. Loomis, the Wolves are still undefeated at 9-0. Mullen is undefeated, and they host Sandhills Thedford coming up here tonight as well.
Yeah, I think the 2 undefeated teams move on there. Stu does not even have Mullen ranked yet, so I think they got a little chip on themselves out there in the Sandhills. I expect Mullen to win that game, and I think Mullen and Loomis will be a good game as well next week. But again, I don't think any of those 4. If you look at that, I think you could probably make a case for any of those 4 teams coming out of that bracket. But you look at Blue Hill, who was defeated by Lawrence Nelson earlier this year, and that kind of gives you an idea of how I think those teams shake out. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out of that west side in D2.
And then we've got the 11-man games and the 6-man games that will be coming up on Friday. So we want to do these just a little bit quicker, Tony. Let's go to Class A first. Omaha North is hosting Kearney. Lincoln East is at Omaha Burke, the top half of Class A.
Yeah, as quick as I can. Kearney's going to need some turnovers. Omaha North is the team to beat. And I'll take Lincoln East in an upset to beat Omaha Burke.
Well, there you go. In the bottom half of Class A, you've got Creighton Prep playing at Millard North, and you've got Millard West at Bellevue West. That game will be streamed on the Millard West Strive channel. They got some stuff going there, so they got to stream on the road against Bellevue West.
Yeah, Millard North takes on Creighton Prep, who was down 31-21 to Norfolk with about 6 minutes left last Friday. It won 35-31. I still think North is the better team. I think they wear Prep out in this one. And then I'm going to call for the upset with Millard West. I think Millard West beats Bellevue West. Bellevue West has been pushed the last 2 weeks. Lincoln High, the 15 seed, had a lead on them halfway through the third quarter last week. And I think Millard West gets the upset here. If you can call it that, we'll go Millard West and Millard North in the semifinals today.
All right, then we'll move on to Class B, where we've got Elkhorn South hosting the 8th seed Aurora. I got to see Aurora last week. Austin Allen, the Husker commit, played his first game. You could tell he wasn't fully at game speed, but he didn't play any less snaps than what he would have normally at that point. A little bit of a game changer for Aurora. And then at the bottom half of the top half of that bracket is McCook hosting Blair. McCook going to Blair after Blair makes a long bus ride last week and knocks off Scotts Bluff. That probably opened some eyes. McCook goes to Blair coming up on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Elkhorn South Aurora game will be a good one. I think the big thing for Aurora is they're going to have to take care of it, and they're going to have to get touchdowns and not kicks. So they're going to have to execute offensively really well. And then can you slow down Elkhorn South just enough? I think they've got a real chance in this one, but if they don't win time of possession or the turnover battle, it's going to be really tough. And then I wouldn't be surprised, Eric, if you see Blair playing with a ton of confidence if they were able to get McCook. I think McCook and Scotts Bluff were kind of the class of the West out there, and Blair might have a chance to take them both down. And now that on their home field, that'll be an interesting one Friday night. The other thing you can look at there is you say you really bet against Coach Gross in the playoffs. So I think that'll be a close game. They've tangled a couple times here, even the last 2 years, and played some pretty good games. So I expect that to be a close one. I think it probably doesn't get into the 30s. I think it's in the 20s, maybe even the high teens. The winner is maybe it's a 3-4 point win one way or the other.
And then coming up in the bottom half of Class B, you've got Scott going to Norris, and Beatrice is on the road to number 2 seed Gretna.
Yeah, how about Beatrice and Norris? I think got some wins maybe that weren't expected last week, especially Norris to go to Elkhorn and beat the Antlers. That's a great win for the Titans. But I think their season runs out on Friday. I really think that's a Scott-Gretna semifinal. And both of those teams really good. Of course, last week I picked Gretna to go to the finals, and I still feel like that pick's the right one. But two of maybe the best football athletes in the state in that Gretna-Beatrice game with the Nebraska pledge Lynn Jurgens and the Wyoming pledge Patrick Arnold for Gretna.
Then we go down to Class C1, where Wahoo Bishop Neumann hosts is at Ogallala coming up on Friday, and then Kearney Catholic is in Wahoo for the 4 versus 5 seed. How do you see the top half of C1?
Well, I'm a sucker for a good story. I'd like to see both Wahoo teams play again in the semifinals, so I'll pick that way. But you look at Kearney Catholic, they're undefeated in the state. Their loss is kind of an interesting one. They went down to Kansas near Wichita, if I'm not mistaken, Eric, and played one of the defending champions at Kansas as their non-Nebraska game this year with the odd teams in C1. And so they are undefeated and beat Columbus SCOTUS last week. They had a late stand at the goal line to win that one. But I really like Wahoo. Defense for me with Wahoo, and I would take Newman as well, making their second trip out to Ogallala in 2 years, so they're comfy with the bus ride, I think.
Bottom half of C1 has the other O'Neill team, and it's O'Neill Public taking on David City Aquinas. That'll be a home game for O'Neill, and then the 2 seed is Arlington. They will host the number 7 seed in Boys Town, who I think you said Boys Town could be an interesting matchup for any team in this playoff.
Boys Town was kind of a sleeper, and I actually picked David City Aquinas as my sleeper. I don't know why that would be, but I think Boys Town can get Arlington. Of course, Arlington, this is kind of a dream season for them. 10 wins now, 10-0, but I think a big test at 8-2 Boys Town for them. I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's going to be probably a high-scoring game. I expect some offense in that one. Of course, Arlington needed time to get Omaha Concordia last week. And I just got a hunch on this O'Neill bunch. They play such good defense. I'll be curious to see how this one goes. But I think you can double-check me, but I think I picked O'Neill into the finals last week. And I'll stay with the Eagles. I just like the defense that Coach Eichelberger has, and he's coached in enough big games that I like that as well. But, boy, O'Neill and Aquinas is going to be a dandy tomorrow, Friday night.
And then let's go down to C2, but I'm going to start you on the bottom half of the bracket because I want to save the juicy ones for the top. So we're going to start with the 2 seed Valentine hosting the 7 seed Crawford, and the 3 seed Battle Creek hosting the 6 seed Oakland Craig.
Yeah, Battle Creek Oakland Craig is a semifinals rematch from last year. I believe Oakland Craig lost in the regular season, beat Battle Creek in the semis, and then beat Battle Creek again in the regular season this year. I still think Oakland Craig is the better team, so I'm going to go with Oakland Craig there. But I think this is a 21-20, a 21-17. It's a game that might come down to a kick of some fashion. And I just like Oakland Craig. I like Haas Smith as a running back linebacker combo there. So I'm going to go Oakland Craig. And then that other game, now I'm drawing a blank. Crofton
and Valentine.
Crofton and Valentine. You know, again, Valentine's kind of that under-the-radar team, too. Again, undefeated in the state of Nebraska. They lost to Winter, South Dakota earlier in the season, so they're 9-1. And a lot of people kind of got a hunch on Crofton on this deal. I'm going to take Valentine. I think Valentine has beat enough good teams and was super impressed with how they handled Cross County last week. I actually thought that could be a pretty good football game, but Valentine kind of controlled that one from the get-go. So I'm going to go Valentine Oakland Craig on the bottom half.
And then the top half is the half that I'm leaving for the juicy part, because we've got the 2 seed Wilber-Clatonia, who's actually the 4 seed. I'm just noticing that, Austin. So we got to update that. Wilber-Clatonia, the 4 seed, hosting Hartington Cedar Catholic, who is the 5 seed. And then the top half of the bracket is for us, because we kind of both picked it, UTAN and St. Paul, and just a lot of fun in the top half of that C2 bracket.
Yeah, I just love Wilber-Clatonia's defense. You know, last week they were in kind of a slobber knocker for most of 3 quarters. I think that was a 7-0 game with Stanton going to the 4th quarter, and then they pulled away for a 21-6 win. I think this game is going to play out almost exactly the same. I think that Wilber-Clatonia's defense will keep them in it for as long as they need them to, and they get enough plays offensively. I think the score's almost identical. I see it being a 21-7 kind of football game. I don't see Hartington Cedar Catholic getting into the 20s this game, so Wilber's defense should win it. And, you know, I'll tell you what, Eric, this UTAN St. Paul game, I think it's gonna be a dandy. I don't know who is going to win this game. I think it comes down to likely a score in the 4th quarter, probably. I expect it to be a 28-20, 27-21, you know, kind of right in there. I like the experience that St. Kind has. I know the kids haven't been in the playoffs much, but they're an older bunch, and they seem to kind of have that thing about them. And I really like Hunter Koshin and Cole Fusik in the middle of that defense. They're just really good. But UTAN is greatly improved. They've got to be the best 7-3 team in the state. Either way this one goes, I'll take St. Paul in a close one just because they're at home. We'll go St. Paul and Wilber in the other semifinal in C2. Did I lose you? Hello?
All right. Well, battery issue with the microphone. It's a sign. to be done with the show? I think so. Riverside is at Silver Lake in the 6-man ranks, and then Cody Kilgore hosting Harvard. That one might be streamed. Harvard's going to get up there and see what they can do about streaming that game. But Riverside and Silver Lake not on the Riverside Strive channel. But that's the 6-man games. Of course, they are in the semifinals this Friday. Their championship will be next Friday night. So looking forward to that as I get frantically waved from behind the cameras. This is actually kind of funny. So Tony was on the road. Thanks to all of our guests here today. Brandon Kuhl out in Kearney, Lynn Jurgens down in Wilber-Clatonia, Matt Koehn-Fairbanks that we caught up with last night for sub-state volleyball, or I should say a district volleyball. So lots of stuff going on, and best of luck to everyone as they continue on with their postseason marches. That's going to do it for us today on Prep Huddle Live here on StriveSports.com. Check out the replays on our social media, and we might even do the replay again coming up tonight on Wednesday night. Have a great day, everyone. But we're not going to do a replay tonight because the games are going to be on tonight. Oh, well. That worked okay for me to mute this. You guys didn't hear me coughing through the microphone.